The veteran thought it was just another walk in the woods with his loyal canine. But when the dog began growling, they stumbled upon a sight that froze his blood. Growling at something ahead, he saw it. An officer hanging upside down from a tree. What they uncovered next would shatter the peace of the entire town. The forest was quiet that afternoon, wrapped in a blanket of mist that curled between the trees. Daniel, a retired veteran, walked the familiar trail with his only constant companion, a German shepherd named Rex. For Daniel, these walks were more than routine, they were therapy. Each step, each breath of cool air, was a reminder that life still held peace after years of chaos. Rex trotted beside him, ears perked, eyes scanning the surroundings like the disciplined soldier he was trained to be. Daniel often joked that the dog was more watchful than he ever had been, but that day felt different. The woods were too still, the silence unnerving. Rex froze suddenly, muscles tightening, a low growl rumbling in his chest. Daniel stopped in, his tracks, his instincts kicking in. Something was wrong. And within moments, their quiet walk would turn into a nightmare. Rex's growl deepened as he pulled forward, nose low to the ground, following a scent only he could detect. Daniel tightened his grip on the leash, his heart pounding as they pushed deeper into the mist. Every step felt heavier, the silence pressing against his ears. Then, through the trees, he saw it. At first, his mind refused to understand what his eyes were showing him. A man, no, an officer, hung upside down from a thick branch, his body bound with rough rope. The uniform was unmistakable, the badge catching a faint glint of light. Daniel froze, his stomach lurching. This wasn't a training accident or a prank. The officer's wrists were tied, his face pale, lips trembling as he hung helplessly. Rex barked sharply, the sound slicing through the silence. In that moment, Daniel realized the truth. Someone had done this intentionally, and they might still be nearby. Daniel's training kicked in instantly. He rushed forward, scanning the area with sharp eyes, every instinct warning him they weren't alone. Rex circled the tree, barking fiercely, his hackles raised as if daring anyone to step closer. The officer hung limply, blood rushing to his head, his breath shallow and strained. Daniel reached up, testing the ropes. They were thick, expertly knotted. Whoever tied him had known exactly what they were doing. "Hang on," Daniel muttered, pulling the hunting knife from his belt. Balancing on his toes, he began sawing through the ropes. Each second stretched longer, the forest pressing in with eerie silence. The officer groaned faintly, eyelids fluttering. Danger," he whispered hoarsely before falling unconscious again. Finally, with a sharp snap, the rope gave way. Daniel caught the officer's body, lowering him carefully to the ground. Rex stood guard, snarling at the shadows. Daniel's pulse thundered. Whoever had done this was close, and they wouldn't be happy their plan had just been ruined. Daniel knelt beside the officer, checking his pulse. It was faint, but there. Years of battlefield triage rushed back into his mind. He tore open the officer's vest, loosening the straps to help him breathe, then rolled him onto his side to clear his airway. Rex stayed close, pacing in restless circles, every muscle alert. Daniel pulled out his old field radio. He carried it out of habit more than necessity. With a shaky breath, he pressed the button. "This is Daniel Cross," he said firmly. "I've got a downed officer in the northern woods. Condition critical. Need immediate backup and medical evac." Static hissed, then a faint voice crackled back. "Copy that. Stay where you are." But Daniel's gut churned. Through the fog, he spotted movement, shadows shifting between the trees. He gritted his teeth. Whoever left this officer hanging wasn't gone. They were watching, waiting. Rex growled low, ears pricked. Daniel rested a hand on the dog's neck. "Easy, partner," he whispered. "Looks like the fight's not over yet." The officer stirred, coughing weakly as Daniel propped him against the tree. His eyes fluttered open, clouded with pain and fear. For a moment, he struggled to form words, then grabbed Daniel's sleeve with trembling fingers. They knew I was close," he rasped. "Corruption runs deeper than anyone thinks." His voice cracked, each word costing him precious energy. Daniel leaned closer. "Who did this to you?" The officer's gaze darted toward the dark woods. "Not just criminals," he whispered. "People in uniform. People we trust." They wanted me gone before I could talk. Rex growled, his sharp eyes scanning the trees. The veteran's jaw tightened. This wasn't random. It was a warning, a message meant to silence the officer forever. Before Daniel could ask more, the officer slumped, his strength fading again. But the words lingered like a storm cloud. If what he said was true, then the danger wasn't just in the forest. It was woven deep into the heart of the town itself. By nightfall, word of the ambush had spread across the town like wildfire. People gathered in hushed groups outside diners and shops, their voices trembling with fear. An officer, one of their own, had been strung up in the woods like prey. If that could happen to him, what did it mean for the rest of them? Rumors swirled. Some whispered it was the work of a violent gang. Others spoke of something darker, powerful figures pulling strings behind closed doors. Mothers clutched their children tighter. Business owners locked their doors earlier than usual. The once quiet town felt poisoned by mistrust. Daniel stood on the edge of Main Street with Rex at his side, watching the unease ripple through his neighbors. The officer's warning echoed in his mind. If corruption really ran this deep, then no badge, no uniform, and no oath could guarantee safety. For the first time in years, the veteran felt the town he once fought for slipping into the shadows of fear. Patrol cars lined the courthouse, and investigators combed through the woods, where Daniel and Rex had found the officer. Reporters swarmed the streets, their cameras flashing, demanding answers the town wasn't ready to give. Daniel gave his statement, recounting every detail: the ropes, the officer's warning, the shadows moving in the mist. Rex sat at his side, silent but vigilant, a reminder of the night that changed everything. First, officials dismissed talk of corruption. But when evidence surfaced, hidden accounts, falsified reports, and names of officers linked to organized crime, the truth could no longer be denied. The very people sworn to protect the town had been feeding it to predators. The revelation struck like a thunderclap. Trust crumbled overnight. Families who once waved proudly at patrol cars now locked their doors in silence. The officer's ambush wasn't random. It was a desperate attempt to bury secrets. And if not for a veteran and his loyal K9, those secrets might have stayed buried forever. Weeks later, the officer lay in a hospital bed, alive only because a veteran and his K9 had refused to ignore a growl in the woods. His voice was weak but steady when he finally said, "You saved me. And maybe this whole town." Daniel only shook his head, resting a hand on Rex's back. "He saved you," he replied. The shepherd lifted his ears, as if he understood. The town, though shaken, began to heal. Corruption was rooted out, justice restored. Yet the memory of that night lingered, a reminder that heroes don't always wear badges or uniforms. Sometimes, they walk on four paws, guided by loyalty, courage, and love, and sometimes, it takes both man and dog to remind a town what truth really means.